welcome back to another planning video this week. This video is for the second weekly setup of November, which means that November's monthly setup has already been posted and will be linked in the description box down below. And it also means that this coming week I will be doing November's live stream weekly setup. So go ahead and add me on Instagram at Plan Like That, the same way it's spelled here, along with turning on the story notifications so you'll know exactly at what time I'll be streaming the live stream. For this video, I'm once again working with DNA and genetics and that sort of thing. And one very interesting fact that I wanted to have incorporated into this month's theme is that octopus have the weirdest DNA that we know. I mean, obviously it belongs to a certain, type of family in the genome, the tree of family species. Oh my god, we're back to me not knowing science words again. But regardless, octopus are also really cool as they could camouflage really well. They're really smart. They have no bones in their body besides the strong beak that they have, so they can literally fit through any space as long as the beak can fit through that space, which makes them really hard to keep captured. They could go on land and on water, and they're just overall really cool animals that I suggest you go check out and learn about. The only difficult thing that I had really with this spread is that they have 8 tentacles, and oh my gosh, it's really hard to fit 8 tentacles on one page. I really struggled with that. This is actually the third drawing rendition of the octopus, and I think it turned out pretty well. The suction cups actually freak me out because it's so many dots together, and I got this thing with the dots together, and I didn't like drawing them, but after coloring them, they got more bearable, and I tried to not think about it too much. So just like last week, I'm using watercolor. By watercolor, I made my Crayola markers mixed in with some water to make watercolor. I was initially gonna do orange and yellow, but I didn't like how light it was doing, and you know me, I like dark colors, so I decided to switch out the yellow for the red, and then I got this really cool, realistic orangey color of an octopus. I mean, that's at least what I think octopus look like. I don't know, I've never actually I have seen one. Did I touch one? No, that was a squid. So I did that. Unfortunately, I really wanted the orange and the red to blend in together, so I ended up adding a lot of water in the places where the orange and the red met, which meant that there was a lot of water on the page, and you know what happens when you put water on paper? It falls apart. So there's a really rough texture on this after it dried, and also the little flower design that I did last week. Yeah, it's a slightly orange now, but that's okay. You won't notice it in the pictures because I realized it a little bit during the actual filming of this, stopped, took some pictures, and then went right back to destroying my bullet journal. But it had to be done. Imagine if they weren't blended at all, that would look weird. And I wanted an orangey reddish tone going on. I also had a hard time drawing each tentacle because I didn't want them to draw, you could see how much it's spreading over now, but I didn't want them to look exactly the same, so I was just struggling, and I was like, hold on a second. You could draw a snake. Pretend each one is a snake. And then for some reason, everything clicked in my head, and I was able to draw really cool ones, like the one I just colored right now, and that one as well. It was kind of weird to figure out what position each tentacle would be at, because actually octopus have 2 legs, and then the rest of them are arms, but they're all they come out of the octopus like a squid, so they're all facing inward and down, so it was kind of weird to orient them properly, but I think I did a pretty good job, maybe. I don't know. I really loved how the coloring turned out. It was really dark and bold when it was wet, but as it dried up, it became a lot more lighter and a lot more pastel, which was kind of unfortunate to make because I kind of liked the dark boldness that was going on. But that's nothing Photoshop can't fix, right? There's my little marker right there. As far as I know, doing this watercolor technique doesn't damage the markers, so to speak. It might add a little bit of water to them, but after a couple strokes with the marker, it should go back to normal. I also don't use these large markers for coloring purposes anyway, so I'm okay with them getting damaged, so to speak. I also learned a lot about controlling the amount of watercolor, as in if I really wanted a thick dark line, I would just stab the paintbrush into the marker and then directly go onto the paper without going to the actual bucket of water that I had. And if I wanted a really light color, red or orange, then I would dip the paintbrush into the marker and then put a lot of water on it, drop a little drop onto a paper towel, and then use it on the paper. So techniques I'm learning. I don't know if those are the same techniques for regular watercoloring, but that's what works for me. And so for the bottom part of the tentacles, I was really debating to make them purple or blue just for a contrast, but I was too chicken, and so I just used pink. I didn't want to use red, but it was too dark. I didn't want to use orange, so I wanted to stand out. I could have used yellow, but yellow has a tendency of smearing and making it really obvious when it smears with a separate color, so I thought pink was a good medium between the red and the orange. Not too dark as the red, but light enough to be, you know, separated. So I went ahead and did the pink. I also noticed that the suction cups itself were white, but then there's like a little dot of color inside the actual suction cup, so I did go back and draw little dots of pink inside the suction cups that you could see, but it was such a light pink that you barely noticed, but I see them. I put in the details, okay? After that, I went ahead and got my Michael stencil and did the circles that I always do. One circle, a giant circle on the top for the week number, and then little circles scattered all around for the days of the week. I decided to fill them in with yellow to bring back the little yellow that I left behind in the beginning. I outlined the entire octopus with a Staedtler Fineliner and then went in with all the details with a Macron 005 pen, I believe. But that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you so much for watching. If you like this video, please be sure to give a like, subscribe, and tell your friends that I post a new FLAMINGO video every single Sunday. And please do go watch a documentary about an octopus, because they are super cool animals and a species that we should definitely protect. Save our oceans, they're dying and we don't even know a lot about them. And that's pretty much it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!